Hello and welcome. In this lesson we will talk about the absolute value function, which is sometimes called the modulus function. Okay, let's define it. F defined on R with values on 0 and infinity, and f of x equals the absolute value of x. So x between these two bars. Sometimes this absolute value is denoted as abs of x. Okay, so basically what this function does, it takes as input a real number and then gives us output a positive number or 0. So let's write this down. The absolute value of x equals, if the value is positive, then it will stay x. So x is positive or 0, and minus x if x is negative. So if the value is positive or 0, the function does nothing. If the value is negative, then this function will multiply the value by -1, so the result will be positive. Okay, let's see a few examples. If the value of x is 0, then the absolute value of x is the absolute value of 0, which is 0. Okay, if x equals 5, for example, then the absolute value of x is the absolute value of 5, which is 5. Okay, if x equals -3, then the absolute value of x will equal the absolute value of -3, which is 3. In other words, the absolute value of -3 is given by -1 times -3, which is of course 3. So this is what the function does. Or we can say, in other words, f of -3 is equal to 3. Okay, let's see a more interesting example. Let's say that f of x equals the absolute value of x minus 5. Okay, so we will have two cases. So the absolute value of x minus 5 will be equal to, case 1 stays the same if and only if x minus 5 is greater or equal to 0. So this is case 1. And the second case, the x minus 5 expression will be multiplied by -1, so minus x minus 5 if x minus 5 is smaller than 0. So this is the second case. Okay, let's see the first case. So x minus 5 is greater or equal to 0. We take this -5, move it on the other side of the sign, and we will have x greater or equal to 5. So in other words, x is from the interval 5 and infinity. Or we can say that x minus 5, the absolute value of x minus 5 is x minus 5 if x is from the interval 5 and infinity. The second case, x minus 5 is smaller than 0, so that means that x is smaller than 5. So x is from the interval -infinity and 5, or in other words, x minus 5, or the absolute value of x minus 5, will be minus x minus 5, which is minus x plus 5, or by rearranging this expression we will get 5 minus x. This if x is from minus infinity and 5. Okay, notice here in case 1 that we have a square bracket because of this condition. So x is greater or equal than 5. So 5 is also in the interval. Here in the second case, x is smaller than 5, so we have only round bracket. Okay, so we can write this again, x minus 5 in absolute value equals x minus 5 if x is from 5 infinity, or the second case it's 5 minus x if x is from minus infinity to 5. Okay, so let's plot these two cases. Case 1, f of x equals x minus 5. I will draw a Cartesian coordinate system. X, y, and the origin, and let's see if x equals 0, what will be f of x. If we plug in 0 into this function, then f of x will be 0 minus 5, which is minus 5. So the point P1 of coordinates 0 and minus 5 will be part of the graph. Okay, let's see what happens if x equals 5. Then f of x will be 5 minus 5, which is 0. So P2 of coordinates 5 and 0 is part of the graph. Okay, so let's plot this out. So first we take P1, so the x coordinate is 0, and then the y coordinate is minus 5. So let's say here we have P1. Okay, and then P2, the x coordinate is 5 and the y coordinate is 0, so we have here P2. Okay, and now we draw the line. Okay, this is our function, but we had a condition. The condition was that x minus 5 should be greater or equal than 0. So this is f of x. That means that we take into consideration only the part which is positive, and this part here is excluded. Okay, the same way, let's see case 2. F of x equals 5 minus x. Okay, so if x equals 5, in that case f of x is 0. So P3 of coordinates 5 and 0 is part of the graph. Then what happens if x equals 0? In this case f of x will be 5. So P4 of coordinates 0 and 5 is part of GF. Okay, so P3, 5 and 0 is the same as P2. Okay, so it's this point here. But then P4 is 0 and 5. So the coordinate on the x-axis is 0 and the coordinate on the y-axis is 5 plus 5. So this should be P4. Okay, and now we draw the function. Okay, this is the function, but again we made the condition that only the positive values should be considered. So again, this part here in the negative area of the y-axis, this is excluded. Okay, so we will draw it again just to visualize it better. So we have here P2, which is basically P3. We have here P4, and then we have here P1, but it doesn't matter because the function doesn't go through P1. Okay, so it should look something like this. Okay, so this is f of x equals x minus 5, and this is f of x equals 5 minus x. So the absolute value function in case of a linear expression with one variable looks like a v. Okay, that was it. Thank you for your attention.